Today on Grace Uncensored, what if God's biggest expectation is simply that you believe Him?
Once you've heard this, you can't unhear it.
Christianity was never meant to be about striving, guilt, or religious pressure. It's about grace, real, unfiltered, life-changing grace. Welcome to Grace Uncensored, the podcast where we clear away the noise, break free from legalism, and rediscover the freedom, joy, and rest found in Jesus Christ. If you're ready to stop chasing approval and start living in the truth of the gospel, you're in the right place. Now here's Billy McDonald with Grace Uncensored.
Hey friends, I'm Billy McDonald. Welcome back to Grace Uncensored, where we break out of religious expectations and breathe in the fresh air of the gospel. Whether this is your first listen or you've been here from the beginning, I am so glad you're tuning in. We've been exploring what grace really looks like, beyond religion, beyond fear. And if you've missed anything, all the episodes and the resources are in the show notes. Let me ask you something we've all wondered at some point. What does God actually expect from me? That question alone can carry a heavy load. Maybe you've spent years thinking the answer was to do more, to try harder, be better, fix yourself. But what if the real answer is much simpler and way more freeing? Well, let's dig in. There's this moment in John chapter 6 where a crowd of people ask Jesus, what are we supposed to do to be doing the works of God? And his answer is mind-blowing because he simply says, this is the work of God, that you believe in him whom he has sent. Just let that sink in. Jesus didn't say, get busy obeying. He didn't say, make sure you perform better, follow all the rules of the law. No, he said, believe. The work that matters most to God is trusting his Son. That's not laziness. That's not spiritual passivity. That's what grace calls us into, deep, honest faith in the one who already did all the work. And it's not a one-time belief to get saved. It's a lifelong posture of trust. Now, if you've ever felt buried under a list of religious duties, you're not alone. Just remember, there's no checklist, no ladder to climb, no perfect attendance award. God's not looking for performance. He's just looking for your presence. He wants to walk with you, not manage your every step along the way. That's relationship. That's grace. And listen, this isn't about getting everything right. Hebrews 11:6 puts it like this. Without faith, it's impossible to please God. It doesn't say without obedience or without consistency or without just the perfect theology. It says faith. Because faith says, God, I trust you, even when I don't see the outcome, even when I don't understand. And that trust pleases him. That kind of trust invites relationship. That kind of trust opens the door to transformation. Which brings us to Romans 12, because Paul here urges us to present our bodies as living sacrifices, not to earn God's mercy, but in response to his mercy. He says, in view of God's mercy, in other words, God has already poured out mercy. You're already loved, already accepted, already made new. So now you offer your body, your life, not as a payment, but as worship. You're not living for God to earn something. You're living from what you already have received. It's a completely different mindset. You're not climbing towards acceptance. You're standing in it. Let me paint a picture for you. Imagine a little girl at her very first piano recital. She's so nervous. Her hands are shaking. She messes up halfway through the song, loses her place, fumbles through the ending. She's embarrassed. But in the front row, her dad is beaming, clapping, smiling from ear to ear, not because she nailed every note, but because she showed up, because she gave it her heart, because she's his. That's how God sees you. He's not sitting with his arms folded, critiquing every note. He's your Father. He's cheering you on, not because of your performance, but because you're His. Hey, I've got a couple of more things, but first, if today's episode rattled your view of God in a good way, don't keep it to yourself. Subscribe. Send it to someone stuck in the performance mode, and tell me in the comments what hit home with you today. And if you're watching or listening today and not quite sure about your own relationship with Jesus, or you've never really grasped the fullness of His grace, visit youtube.com/Grace Uncensored 777. There's a video there right at the top called, What If God's Better Than You Thought? I think it'll be a real encouragement to you. Again, that's youtube.com/Grace Uncensored 777. Or feel free to email me directly at billymcdonald@graceuncensored.org. That's billymcdonald@graceuncensored.org. I'd love to hear from you. So in closing, what does God actually expect from you? You might say it's faith, worship, maybe surrender. These things are true, but that also implies that these are things we must strive to achieve, maybe even on our own. Check this out. The beauty of the new covenant is that God has already equipped us with everything we need for life and godliness. We see that in 2 Peter chapter 1, verse 3. We're not striving to meet God's expectations through our own efforts. Instead, we're living out the reality of what He has already accomplished in us through Christ. What God expects, or even better, what God desires for us, is to trust in the finished work of Jesus, recognizing that we're already in a perfect relationship with Him because of what Christ has already done. Our faith is a response to His faithfulness, and our worship is a natural outflow of the Spirit's work within us. And when it comes to surrender, well, that's another one of those words that Christians love to use, but it's actually not found anywhere in the New Testament. That's because we're not called to surrender in the sense of giving up something to gain God's favor, but rather to offer our bodies as living sacrifices, holy and pleasing to God. This is truly the way we worship Him, as we just read a moment ago in Romans 12:1. So you don't have to figure it all out. You don't have to fix yourself. You just keep walking with Him, trusting the one who started the work, that He'll finish it. Next time, we're going to talk about something that hits all of us. We had such a huge response from a few weeks ago when we talked about what if I mess up? We're going to come at it from a little bit different angle. We're asking the question, what happens when I blow it again? What happens when I fall short again? Spoiler alert, grace doesn't get tired of you. Grace doesn't back down. Grace meets repeat failure with relentless love. Can't wait to go there with you. We'll see you next time.
You've been listening to Grace Uncensored, where it's not about religion, it's all about real, uncensored grace. If this episode hit home, share it with a friend, and make sure to subscribe so you never miss what's next. Do you have questions or feedback? Drop us a note at billymcdonald@graceuncensored.org. That's billymcdonald@graceuncensored.org. We'd love to hear from you. This is Grace Uncensored, where grace isn't earned. It's already yours. We'll see you next time.